Hey guys, and welcome into Artemis Anarchy episode 48. And today we're going to talk about OBS tips. Oh shit, I fucked up the intro. OBS tips, DaVinci Resolve, creating content in general. No, OBS tips, video editing tips, and shit. OBS tips, editing tips, and DaVinci Resolve. Yeah, there we go. Hey there friends, and welcome into today's episode of Artemis Anarchy, which is episode 48. Today we're going to be talking about OBS tips, DaVinci Resolve, and editing and content creation tips in general. Just some guidelines and some things you can and can't do, or what you should and shouldn't do, but some people get away with it, some people don't. And we'll talk about that too, maybe. We'll also talk a little bit about Twitch, a little bit about YouTube. We'll do a whole versus thing a little bit. And this is more of a content creation kind of podcast today. We're going to be talking a lot about content creation a lot more again, especially as I've been doing a lot more YouTube again, as you can probably tell if you're watching it on YouTube, and you go and check my, stuff. But yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing good. Leave it down in the comments below if you're doing good. And any other OBS tips that I may miss out, which I will, probably, leave them down below for other creators or other aspiring streamers to learn and maybe ask questions about in my future podcasts or in the comments below. And just help everyone, So, firstly, we're going to jump into OBS tips, because the way I'm going to structure this is I'm going to do it from, say you've just got an OBS, you've just downloaded it, you've not even done your first stream yet, or your first YouTube video, or first whatever, content creation you do. I'm going for more like, YouTube, Twitch, and streaming content creation, but there's other content creation such as music and other things like that. But let's say you've just downloaded OBS, you've not done your first stream, you've not done your first video, whatever, right? So, now, if you watch a lot of tutorials and stuff, which I do highly recommend, I will be bringing out some tutorials very soon, within the next 3 weeks-ish. So I will probably cover a few of these tips a bit more in detail over there, so keep an eye out on those and subscribe if you don't want to miss those out. But what we're going to talk about first in the first OBS tip is your stream settings. Now, if like me you don't have the greatest internet but it still works, especially if you're on Twitch, rescale your output. So like, say you've got it on 1920 by 1080, right? Just keep it on that, and then when you go into your settings on the settings page, obviously I'll show this when I do my other OBS tips video, but I'm just doing a quick rundown of what all these tips are, or some of these tips at least. If you go into your settings, you go into, I think it's advanced. I should probably just do this as I'm talking it through. So then you go into output, you put your output mode to advanced because it just makes things so much easier. And then you go into streaming. Now, this is where the first thing comes. So say in your video tab, you will have your base canvas resolution as probably 1920 by 1080, which is an aspect ratio of 16:9. So when you go into your output tab and have it in advanced mode, when you're in the streaming thing, you can rescale your output. Now, again, if you've got the internet to handle 8000 kbs steady, go for that and do your 1080p broadcast or whatever, or your stream. But if you have slightly less than admirable internet, admirable, I don't know, correct me down in the comments below, or right now if you're watching this live, but change it to 1280 by 720, so which is 720p, still HD, just the slightly less detailed version of HD basically. And what I have my encoder settings to, because I know my internet handles this semi well, is the rate control for me is CBR, and I have the bitrate at 4000. Now, everything after that, I put the preset to quality over performance, and I put the profile to high. I've not done anything with GPU. Everything else is basically left alone aside from the preset and the profile and the bitrate and stuff. So now, while we're in the advanced tab, if you're like following what I'm saying, yes. But yeah, when you're actually ready to stream and stuff, or you're streaming and you've got your stream set up, obviously you've got the stream tab, which you've probably seen if you were messing about at the same time when I'm talking about this. So if you go into your stream tab, you can either connect your Twitch, your YouTube, or there's something else. I can't remember. I can't see them just now because I am streaming, so I can't tell you. But I'll probably put it up here somewhere, maybe, if I remember to. If I don't, I don't. But again, I will explain this further in detail when I do the video on it. So when you're doing all that, you've got your, say, I'm going off the assumption that you've got your, if you're streaming, you've got your stream setup stuff done, and that's it. So now for your recording track, right? So for your recording output, right? Keep this in your 1920 by 1080. Do probably, if you can, and you have a NVIDIA GPU that allows it, use NVENC. And also have a very specific file. This is just a general tip. Don't just throw them in videos. So if you're doing it for YouTube content, right? Say you've got a profile for YouTube, right? Because I've got about 4 profiles in OBS, and I'll talk about how to do profiles in a second. But the way I've got it set up for, I think it's my Twitch profile and my YouTube profile, is that anything that is recorded goes into a folder called YouTube, into a subfolder of that, which is unedited. It may not come up with names or anything like that, but at least it tells me what date it was, and I can usually guess by the first 10 minutes. So just make sure you know what you were doing that day or something, or go and check it, make sure it recorded right, and then rename it. That's the easiest way to keep everything organized, right? And if you have like IRL stuff that you do video-wise and game stuff that you do video-wise, which is something I should probably do too, have a separate folder for each. So like so if you're recording it just straight into your unedited folder, have 2 subfolders in there, and then just move them to whichever one it corresponds to, obviously. But yeah, like aside from that, your rate control is really up to you and how much your PC can handle and stuff. Right now, my bitrate for video is 50,000 kbs. It might be a bit overkill, but it does give a lot more pixels and stuff for YouTube's compression system to actually compress. But now, this is technically an editing tip, but I'm going to throw this in here right now just so you guys know. I will talk about it more in detail when I do the editing stuff. But when you're doing, again, you're editing and stuff, you want to put your video. So say you're in Resolve, right? So you put your resolution as 2160p or 4K, right? 2K or 4K. And then when YouTube compresses it down to that 1080p that you're only allowed before you hit partner, you can then trick the system and it will give more quality when you're actually when you actually see the video fully in YouTube. or on YouTube, I should say, not in YouTube. Well, technically it's in YouTube, but database and stuff. But that's about it for the recording thing just now. I will get into audio in a second, but I want to talk about some other things to do with other audio before I talk about audio tracks and stuff with you first. Now, if you have OBS 28, you won't need to install this plugin, but it's a very useful plugin, especially if you have music you want to listen to but it's DMCA'd and you want music that chat can listen to. Now, you can also do this with the Wavelink software, which comes with the Wave XLR interface, the Wave 1 and the Wave 3 mics. So if you have any of them, you've got that, so you can do it from there. But I still use my audio application output capture. That's what it's called. It's something like that. But basically, what you can do with the application audio output capture is basically it's a plugin. So if you don't have it, search it up. It'll probably be the first or second link. Basically, all it does is it splits your audio. Like, you can capture certain applications for certain things. So, like, for example, I have one for game, one for my stream music, one for my browser source, one for my browser, one for sound alerts, one for my mic, obviously, one for this, did I say Discord? I think I did, but voice chat, basically. So voice chat, game, music, browser just in case you need to like show YouTube videos or anything, and obviously your mic and stuff like that. But that's all you really need to know about that just now, okay? Because again, I'm doing this as either a refresher for some people who are rusty at streaming and stuff, or just starting and have a rough idea but not full idea. And trust me, I don't even have a full idea, so there's probably things in this list that I've forgotten about before I recorded this today, or before I streamed it today technically, because we are on a stream. But yeah, so now, like I said, audio. Now that we've covered like the audio application output capture, Jesus Christ, that's a long fucking name. The separate audio, right? We're going to refer to it as separate audio from now on. So, now that we've done that, say you want something to show up in a Twitch VOD, but you don't want it to show up in a video if you're recording your video. Now, this is where you have to know what you're trying to do with videos and what you're trying to do with streams and what you're trying to do with VODs. Now, this is where it gets not difficult, but easier for editing, I would say, right? So again, if you go into your settings, basically, and go into output, yes, output. So now that you're back in your output, say you put all your stuff on for, right, say put everything on 1 for default, right, aside from DMCA music, and probably just don't have that playing for the stream at all. That's why you use a separate audio source as well. Now that you've done that, say everything's set to 1. So set everything for 1, and that is your stream audio, right? So now you'll notice that you have 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that gives you, again, 5 audio tracks. So now if you go back into your recording advanced settings now, you can select your audio tracks, but just don't select track 1. If you want to be able to edit your stuff, don't select track 1. If you want to be able to change your mic audio from your game audio and vice versa, or your teammates chat and add EQ to them and stuff in for the video, don't select audio track 1, because remember, that is your stream audio, so that has everything on it. You can't edit any of the voices or anything without distorting everything else. So what I do for my one anyway, I just select 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. If I don't need 4, 5 and 6, I'll deselect them that day. But if I do need them that day, then I'll just keep them on for every recording I do that day. So now, here's where it gets interesting. So once you've saved all your settings like that. So again, just a quick recap, stream audio is track 1 or track 2 or whatever one. Just remember whatever one your stream track is, the VODs here and your stream here's. And then what you do from there is just select all of them but that one. So again, one's probably your safe option. You're going to remember that one isn't allowed to be in your videos for editing, right? For this sake, right? So now that you've got all that set up, again, I'll go into more detail in the videos that I do in the future, but now that you've got all that set up, you will go into advanced audio properties, which is like a little cogwheel at the bottom of your mixer, audio mixer bar. So yeah, so again, if you don't know what you're doing with that, just hang tight and we'll explain a few more things in that in a minute. But when you actually fully open your advanced audio properties, you'll be able to see which tracks show up on which sorry, I got my words mixed up there. You'll be able to see which audio audio channels, there we go, channels, I couldn't remember the name for it. You'll be able to see which audio channels show up on which tracks. So if you are, again, following along with what I'm saying, and you go into your tracks and you have everything selected as 1, right, you'll be able to see that you can also monitor and stuff like that. We're going to ignore that just now, okay? Because I've not messed about enough with things like delay and sync offset and stuff like that, so we're just going to ignore that just now. But what we're going to do here is actually, well, I need to deselect a few actually off of my other audio tracks that stream doesn't hear, but the videos would hear. And that would be, again, like I said, things like soundworks and things that are very stream specific. And basically what you want to do as well is like deselect and select which ones. So say you're wanting, like for me, well, you obviously want your mic on as a separate audio track in for editing, obviously in the video for editing. So you'd select track 1 and say let's say track 2. Right, let's say we're messing about with 3 audio sources. We're not messing about with things like music or browser sources or stuff like that. We're just going to have 3 audio tracks, okay? This is just for example, but you can add more, you can take away more, right? Say you only want your mic for certain parts or something, I don't know. So my default is mic is on 2, the microphone is on audio track 2, the secondary microphone, if I'm doing something like a comparison video, which I did the other day for you guys on YouTube, but it will be out on Saturday for you guys on Twitch. So now here's where it gets a little messy, or can, because if you don't realize something's unchecked that you want to be checked, record a little testing with things that you're wanting on. right? Which actually doesn't always save you, and I will explain why in a second. Well, not why, but sometimes just things don't work, like the separate audio plugin, or if you've got it on OBS 28. I'll have to try it out, see if it works better or worse, but we'll see. Anyway, back to the audio tracks. This is a very long description because I'm trying to give you guys as much exposition as I can so that you guys understand why things work. So basically, when you go into your audio tracks, when you do your recording and throw it into, say, Resolve or Hit Film, or any of those, or Premiere Pro, right? Like, let's just use all those for example. When you throw it in, when the tracks are separate or separated, so like say you've got 2, 3, and 4 done, it will only show 3 audio tracks, which is your 2, 3, and 4. Obviously, it'll show them as 1, 2, 3 in your video editing software. So as long as you keep them in some sort of order, you will still know which ones are which. So, as a rule of thumb, 2 is audio 1, 3 is audio 2, 4 is audio 3, right? In your editing software, right? But in OBS, it's 2, 3, and 4. And in your editing software, it's 1, 2, 3, right? So, now that we've passed that part, you want to be able to check off and check on whatever you're wanting, right? So again, like I've said, mic is on 2 for me, game is on 3, secondary mic is on 4, and like voice chat and stuff is on 5 for me personally. Again, I am going to be changing that, so I'll probably change it to my microphone still being 2, my game still being 3, and voice chat being 4, and my secondary mic, if I'm doing a comparison video just in case, as audio source 5, 4, 5, 5, because I use 4 audio sources for certain videos. Now that we've got that out of the way though, that's like probably the most complicated you're going to need to get right now. Don't worry about things like transitions and stuff yet. This is like, especially for people who are legit just starting. If you find a nice free transition that you like, take it by all means, because it's free for a reason, and I will tell you guys how to set that up. So obviously you'll see in your OBS, if you've not really touched it or anything, there is a scene transitions tab. Now when you click on that, you get a drop down menu that can be anything from it can be cut, fade, swipe, slide, stinger, fade to color, move, and move to, or I think are a plugin that just makes things move about, really. That's all that does. It does what it says on the tin, really. But the one you want to focus on, especially if you got a free transition from someone, the one you want to focus on is stinger. Now, stingers are what your transitions are. So the little graphic that comes on, that's animated, that plays, boom, and then you're in your next scene, right? So when you're actually doing this, obviously your scene is supposed to switch in between whenever that full picture takes up the whole screen. So this is where you're kind of on your own, unless you know exact times. So say the stingers the average like 3 seconds, right? Or a sec. Is it 3 seconds an average stinger is? 3 or 5 seconds, something like that. So what I would say is you want your general rule of thumb is 3. You want your stinger to be covered. No, you want your scene to be covered by the stinger before you transition into your next scene, because it is literally just a cut underneath a graphic that does stuff. Underneath a video that literally comes in, swipes out, basically, if we're using the most basic. Now, this is just to show you guys, to tell you guys how this works. So basically, again, like I said, stinger it covers up your whole screen, or it's supposed to, and then it comes back and you're on your next scene. So say just chatting to game scene, or a game scene to just chatting, or just chatting to BRB, whatever, right? Now, if you're using a stinger, I usually say about try and find the halfway point. So, but sometimes that doesn't always work, because sometimes it fills up the screen sooner rather than later, so you have to mess about. My general rule of thumb is keep it in that 700 to 800 millisecond range. And there is a reason for this, because 90% of the stingers, especially the ones that I've seen and ones that I have made, do only cover the screen for about a second, maybe a second and a half, right? So if you transition at the start of that second and a half a second, whatever, you just have to find the sweet spot, basically. That's all I can tell you. So you just have to mess about with it. I know it might be scary if you've never done it, but just keep testing it and testing it and testing it and testing it. Or even do it live on stream, like just figure things out, because then you'll have chat there to help you, and then maybe you'll have someone there that knows what they're doing to help you and stuff like that. So again, like I've always said, yeah, it makes a streamer or recording look more clean. And if I'm to use an example, mine's is a different type of transition, because I've messed about with a lot of stuff now. But if I switch to my just chatting scene for a second for you guys, for your guys' sake, because I can just do that. So if I jump over to the just chatting screen real quick, it won't change much, but it should slide out this scene and slide in the new one. So basically it would do this, like that. Now, that's obviously a simple one because it matches almost everything. So like, it doesn't really show it off too much, but it shows it off enough. Again, I'll explain it in more videos that I do make. If you want specific tutorials on how to do specific things, I'm sure I can make them, and I'm sure that I will probably make them when I run out of video ideas. Anyway, so just keep an eye out on my YouTube and stuff. There'll probably be, I'll make a playlist once I do a few videos of it and stuff like that. But most of those videos will be up every Saturday. Now, I also want to add one more thing to the OBS scene. Obviously, you get your pop-out chats and stuff like that once you sign into, say, Twitch. Now, sometimes they can go a bit weird. Like, they'll, like, maybe your overlay will read the chat still, and like it'll come up, and then but if you look over to your actual stream chat, it won't show up. So the only way I found to combat this is either have like your channel, like your stream manager open on your PC, or your stream manager open on your phone. Just anywhere that's a second screen. It doesn't have, you don't have to get a second monitor to read chat. You can literally get a cheap like 15 pound phone stand that will just hold your phone just at eye level. That'll hold it just out of shot, probably would be the best, where you can read chat. So that's my advice for anyone starting OBS. And again, the more advanced that I decide to go with it, the more advanced tutorials you'll start to get. But the first few tutorials and tips and tricks and stuff with OBS will be, again, simple stuff like what I've just said. Those will be my first few tutorial videos that are a bit more in detail, and I'll explain a lot more why certain things happen and certain things don't. From my understanding, always take someone's understanding with a grain of salt, because I don't know everything. I might be a great content creator, I may be one of the greatest, but I don't know everything about content creation, you know? So the next thing I want to talk about is actually content creation, before we go into videos and stuff. So, like, now would be the time, like, say you're wanting to start recording, right? Or start your first stream. Just hit the button and go with it. Don't overthink it. I know that a lot of people have a lot of time thinking it's like some big thing hitting the go live button or hitting the record button, which it is. I will admit it is. We've all been there, but because we've all been there, we know what it's like. We know how weird it can feel to hit that go live button, right? We all know. We all know. Everyone, even in my chat right now, knows what it's like to hit that go live button or hit that record button. And we all still aren't great content creators. I will admit it. Like, I'm good, but I'm not that good. You know? Like, I'm good, but I've got a lot to learn. I'm great and I've got a lot to learn. But, like, I will use Jedi as an example, actually, because he's probably the easiest for me to contrast with, right? So we'll use me and Jedi as an example, right? For video recording, anyway, at very least. So when I'm recording a video, obviously I can just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. But here's the thing. It's a learned skill. It's not something that just happens. If you go back and watch some of my older videos, I didn't talk a lot, I had to cut a lot, I had to transition a lot, and I'm going out of focus, so that's great. We love it when we're out of focus. Sorry. Okay, I'm back in focus. Anyway, but like even doing this just now, even when people aren't responding to me, I can still keep talking to you guys over on YouTube because I have learned the skill to just keep talking and talking and talking without needing to stop for a minute. Or I'll trip up on some things like you seen earlier. That's why I leave my mistakes in, to show you guys that it happens all the time. Again, don't worry about being quiet your first few times. It takes a while to, you know, get used to recording and only being the only one that's, you know, you're basically talking to a camera or talking to yourself. If you don't have a camera, obviously. Now, Jedi, compared to me, does a lot more scripts, which is a strength and it is a weakness. And I'll tell you why. I'll give you the pros and cons of a script, and I'll give you the pros and cons of chaos, or improvising, as I like to call it, or some people like to call it anyway. So, with script writing, A, you know what you're going to say, B, you know what you're going to do, and C, you already know the video you've got planned. There's a lot more now. Does it come with a bit more production value in a way? Yes. But does it take a little bit of personality away? Sometimes. It can. It doesn't always, but it can. You have to be smart on how you write your scripts. That's also the thing. But here are the cons to it. You have to write the script. Because again, most people who start content creation do not have a lot of money. Or they don't have enough money to hire script writers, producers, editors, stuff like that, right? You have to be a one-man army, basically. At the start of content creation, you have to be a one-man army. Hell, I'm still one-man army. But I'm still at the start, basically. I would consider this still the start of my shit. You know? Like, I wouldn't ever say that I'm at the top. Maybe, I mean, guaranteed one day I will be at the top. And that's just confidence. But, like, you've got to realize that script writing is also a very difficult task, especially if you've never done it before, especially if you don't know how to do it for a YouTube video. Because there's a difference between a YouTube video script and a movie or TV show script. Now, technically, you could interchange them if you really wanted to and added even more production value. But again, like I said, with budget, depending on who you are, depending on what background you're from, you have a budget. So stick within that budget, or stick with less than in that budget. You know, like do with it as little and as cheap as possible at the start, until you know that you 100% want to go into this. And again, right, back to doing script writing, right? So, I keep going on little tangents, apologies. But back to script writing's cons. Again, you have to write the script, which is a pro and a con, because you know what you're wanting from your video, but it takes time. It takes at least a day or two, and that's being generous. Like, some people will take a whole week to write a script, right? So you've got that first, right? Secondly, you've got to record your gameplay or whatever you're talking about, your B-roll or your A-roll, depending if you're doing like semi-scripted or whatever, depending on what it is. Now, the third thing with scripting, again, like I said, it takes some personality away sometimes. If the script is too structured, you won't be able to, I guess, convey emotion at least in some way, or animation, or like you won't feel as human, I would say. Sometimes, again, it depends. It depends on who you are. It depends how you write your scripts as well. But again, it's very time consuming. So the main cons of script is it's really time consuming. It can get in the way of other things. It can take away a little bit of emotion, not a lot, but a little. And some viewers either like that or hate it. It's a love or hate, really. And then that's about it for the cons of that. Now, we'll go more into my style. So that was more Jedi style. Jedi does a lot more scripting and stuff like that. So if you like scripted tutorial videos on Star Citizen and stuff, check them out, right? But now we'll move on to my type of video, right? Or the one that I do a lot more often than Jedi does. So what I do a lot, and this especially helps with streaming, this is why I do try to encourage people to do it this way first before doing it scripted. There's a way that there's a skill with doing it with improv, really, almost. It's almost improv. Would it be improv? I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below, or in chat right now if you're here. But yeah, basically when you're doing it more improv and giving natural reactions to stuff that's happening in the game and stuff, and you're not reading it out of a script, basically, you convey a bit more emotion. You can you can at least show mistakes and stuff like that. Like, you can do the same with script writing, obviously, because obviously misreads of the script and stuff. But with this, it comes a lot more natural. You can start to naturally progress with, like, say your chat's quiet in stream, right? Say you stream and you make YouTube videos. If you make YouTube videos and you've got quiet stream, you can keep talking during those quiet parts of your stream. Like, if your chat's a very quiet chat and there's a lot of workers, appreciate them, but you can still talk to them. Or again, like I've always said to do, especially for people who go very quiet when chat's quiet. I will out Jedi here for that, but Jedi does it a lot because it can disrupt your flow when chat's going for quite a while and then it stops. I know how, mixed up you can get with it. Don't worry, we've all been there, we've all known it. Now, again, like I've said, doing YouTube videos where you're improv and there's no chat with you and there's nothing happening other than you in a game or you in whatever you're doing. Say you're doing a reaction video or something like that. So if you're reacting along with it as it's going and there's no chat, you're just talking to the camera or talking to yourself or whatever, then you have an idea on how to deal with a quiet chat now on stream. Now, I'm not saying it works 1,000,000% of the time or 100% of the time, but it helps. It definitely helps. Like, I know I have a lot of workers, which I truly appreciate and stuff, because I know they have, jobs and shit like that. But again, because I've learned how to do YouTube videos a lot more frequently and a lot more quick and a lot more reactionary, I can just keep talking and talking and talking and talking, and I can be a bit more animated and stuff like that. That's why I move my hands a lot. It's also just a thing that I've always done. But there's a thing with doing YouTube improv style as well. There are a few cons. Again, like I'm doing right now, it's a lot more improv and I'm just going off the top of my head here. I have a rough idea, but I don't know anything else but those rough ideas. Because this is literally just thoughts that are coming to my mind right now. Like, I'm not even, filtering them or anything, right? So basically, when you're doing stuff like this, and you're doing a lot more improv and stuff like that, it can take your brain a second to buffer it. Especially if you talk fast or you, what's it called? See, like what I'm doing just now, but like, if you talk fast or if you get distracted easily or you go on a lot of tangents or you do this, do that, or you say hyper focus on a game and you just get in the zone, it can't be helped sometimes. But the problem with the real problem with the improv style of YouTube or improv style streams and no actual structure to them, like my streams, and is the difficulty to keep coming up with new things and not repeating yourself, which is probably the hardest thing, I will admit, because I do notice myself repeating some things. Even the last 10 minutes that we were talking about OBS, there were some things I was repeating over and over again just to give my brain a second to catch up, because I do talk quite fast sometimes and I do talk quite slow sometimes, and it just depends on the day really. And sometimes I have a thicker accent depending on the day or depending on what I'm saying and stuff like that. But again, you've just got to get past those little things. Either do what I do and call them out when you hear them and when you see them and stuff like that, or you can cut them out in a video. Now, a stream's a bit different, but when you're streaming, no one's really going to be as annoyed by little buffers in your brain, because again, it happens to everyone. It's a natural human thing, right? It happens. We all get it. No matter who you are, no matter who you are, really. I don't know where I was going with the rest of that sentence, I'll be honest. But no matter your mental state, there we go. We've all had those moments that we'll just be talking, and then, shit, what was I going to say? Everyone's had it. And if you haven't, you're either a robot, a wizard, or I was going to say an AI, but that's a robot, so yeah, you're either a robot or a wizard person, I guess. I don't know. Conspiracy time, right? You're a wizardary. Or a wizard, yeah. Lizard, wizard, all that shit. Reptile. Anyway, but do all the different types of YouTube you want. Because guess whose content it is? Because it's not mine. Well, this content's mine, obviously, but what you do in your content is not up to anyone else but you. You're the only person that dictates your content. Not me, not Jedi, not Citrus, not anyone. You. You're the one that does it. So do whatever the fuck you want to do and have a good time with it. If you're not having fun with a certain type of content, don't care about it being like popular or blowing up or anything like that. Do what you want to do, because in your own time you'll blow that type of content up, especially if you know it's so niche, because a lot of people need a niche. Me, my niche is chaos. My niche is randomness. Like, I'll do whatever the fuck I want to do. But people seem to like that instead of, the same shit every day that's all the same shit. Like, the same repeated jokes and the same repeated games. Like, yes, I'll have series of games like I'm doing just now with Saints Row and Saints Row 2. And maybe Hitman from time to time, or Track to Yomi. But even then, like this week actually, I'll use this week as an example. I've done the podcast video this week, which went out yesterday for me, so that was Tuesday. And tomorrow a Saints Row video is coming out, and then Saturday a mic review is coming out. So, or like for a couple of days ago for you guys, few days in the future for me. And then Sunday is either a Saints Row, Hitman, Track to Yomi video. I don't know what I feel like playing yet. Usually Sunday's my what do I feel like playing day, for recording anyway. I think I know what this week's video is, but I can't remember. I have to double check that what my video I'm going to be doing doesn't run out until I do said video. But aside from that, like, just do the content the way you want to do it. Do whatever content you want to do. But yeah, and if you're not enjoying it, if your community's not enjoying it, and you're not enjoying it, try it again in about a year. Try it again in a month, in a week. Like, maybe only do that type of content once in a while, like, just to switch things up a bit. Maybe they're not liking it, or you're not liking it because it's too repetitive. And therefore you get bored of it and you get burnt out and all that stuff. Now, actually, talking of burnout, before we jump into editing and stuff like that, because that's where we're going next, because obviously we've went from setting up OBS to content creation in general to all this shit, and YouTube and streaming and stuff like that. So burnout is probably your next biggest factor, especially if you stream more than you make other content. Now, again, as the legendary famous one-hit wonder always says, stream less. But there's a little trick to this, right? There's a little trick that I use anyway. If say I'm wanting a break from streaming, right? I'll take a week off of streaming, and then if I'm wanting to break off of YouTube after that week off of streaming, I'll stream that week and then not make YouTube that week. Or I'll make YouTube videos in advance because I know I'm getting burnt out, so I'm just gonna run the candle till it's dead and then rekindle that light after I've posted the rest of those videos, Now, burnout is a big factor. It can happen to anyone. It happens to me almost like monthly, at least. It's not always the same type of burnout though, if you get what I mean. Like, sometimes you can get burnt out just from one specific app or one specific type of content. Like, everyone experiences burnout no matter who you are, what you do, or where you're from, Like, burnout just is a thing. You'll get bored of something for a while, and then you'll come back and you'll be fine. And then it's a vicious cycle, basically. And then you'll come back, get bored of it again, come back, like it, come back, get bored of it. You get what I mean, right? So basically, the best way to combat that, for me personally, again, this works for me because, again, it's the way my brain works and the way my mentality goes towards content creation. I like to keep working. So again, like I said, I'll take a week off Twitch and then take a week off YouTube, but I'll either be streaming or creating content for YouTube on those respective weeks even. So again, like if I'm off from streaming, I'll be making a lot more YouTube content for the week that I end up getting burnt out of YouTube content. And then I'll stream for that week that I'm not making YouTube content, and then I'll come back to doing both, and then it's just a cycle that you have to go through. You can't really do anything to avoid it aside from take healthy breaks. But here is the thing that I want to stress to you. Don't listen to me when to take a break. Don't listen to your community when to take a break, because I've been getting bitched at for about months to take another break, but I'm just not in the mood for a break yet. But again, same with your content. The only person that knows what to do with their content and when to take a break and with their work and stuff, guess who? Yeah, you guessed right, it's you. Yeah, it's you. Everything is down to you. Like, now, don't take that as a pressure thing. Just, it is your decision, because technically, if you think about it in a business sort of sense, you're, well, the CEO of the business, technically. You're actually also the only employee. You're also the only, million and one other jobs that content creators have to do when they don't have editors, script writers, video producers, people who set videos up for them and stuff. You have to be the everyman of content creation, literally. Like, you can't avoid it. At some point, you have to be able to do your own thing. Like, you have to be able to do everything that you would hire someone else to do, because you have to have an understanding. But, again, I know when I want a break. I know when I want to make more content, when I want to just boost myself ahead. Now, as always, there's always moderation in making content. Doesn't matter who you are. You could be like me and want to work 24/7, 365, right? I don't think a lot of you guys that are watching this do, but maybe you just need to be working on something, anything. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be content. It doesn't have to be actual work. It just has to be, you have to be doing something 24/7, 365. Now, not everyone's like this. So again, that's why I do my whole split weeks and I just take a break from one or the other. Now, the only other piece of advice that I can give any content creator or editor or anything is, again, at the start, take your time. Learn what you like, learn what type of content you like, learn what type of content you love making, and make that content. You'll blow up soon enough if you make the content that you love. Don't force yourself to play games you don't want to play. Okay? And yeah, that's probably the best place to actually lead into video editing. Now, again, I'm going to use Jedi as part of an example of this, but I'm also going to use me at the start of content creation because they're very similar. I will say they're very similar because there are certain characteristics in anyone who starts editing that I have noticed. Some days you'll want to be like, boom, 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 do 6 videos a day, or get like a whole video churned out and scripted and written and recorded and everything and edited all in the one day. And then the next day you'll be like, nah, fuck this. So, editing. Here we go. So, again, at the start, with me especially, I found myself when I was recording stuff, after that I hated hearing my own voice, which I know Jedi does still hate hearing, is his own voice. I still hate hearing it, but it's a thing that you just have to live with. Now, the best way to get past this, or the best way that I have found to get past this, listen to music. Doesn't have to be loud, it can't drown out your voice, but just a little bit in the background so your voice doesn't bug you as much. So it tricks your brain almost into thinking that it's not your voice almost, because you've got at least some sort of other audio in your ear. It's going to blend together. You just have to make that audio that's distracting you partially so low that it only registers in your mind, but doesn't take away from you editing. Is that the best way to describe it? Probably is. But like editing, once you get the flow of it, once you get the hang of it, you just kind of go with it, you kind of just full send it, and then you have a video. And then you rinse and repeat that for another 6 days, right? Say you're doing 6 videos a week, which I don't recommend for anyone starting YouTube. Trust me, been there, done that, and yeah, let's just say I've still not recovered from it. You know, like, you're gonna burn yourself out very quick. You're gonna burn yourself out so fucking quick if you do that. Again, take everything in moderation. So start with 1 a week, right? 1 a week, every single, say Wednesday, right? Say middle of the week, every day you're working on it, or you're working on a little piece of content, but you only ever upload once a week. And again, in this example, I'm going to use every Wednesday. So use Wednesday, right? Let's say Wednesday at 3 p.m, whatever your time zone is. Right, so just 3 p.m. at your time, you know? So obviously for me, it would be BST or GMT whenever we change back into GMT. But let's say, actually, I'll give you guys a challenge, right? Especially for the people that I know that love to create content and stuff, but don't know how to balance out YouTube. So I've already given Jedi this challenge. And what you're going to do for me is you're going to record one video, you're going to edit said video in whatever format and whatever style you want, and you're going to upload that once every week. Now, it doesn't have to be the same day every week for a start, but once you start to get into that rhythm, that's when you're going to be doing it every whatever day. Say Wednesday. Again, I'm going to use Wednesday as probably the best example because it's middle of the week. It's a lot of people are going to be watching through middle of the week, stuff like that, or weekends. Also work very well too. But again, there you go. See? So actually, just to prove a point here, do you think me telling you to do 1 a week helped, Jedi? To do 1 video a week, did it help? Did it help kick your ass in gear, basically? In some sort of way. Yo. So, again, like I said to Jedi, don't do it every single same day. Yeah. Don't do it the same day every week for a start. Just do it whatever day you can get it uploaded. Just 1 a week. That's your homework, right? That's your homework for the next month, right? You have to do 1 video a week for the next 4 weeks. If you're creating content and you don't do a lot of YouTube videos, right? 1 video a week. And yeah, I think you guys can do it. I believe in you. And maybe if you don't have time to do it, no, Phoenix. No. And for anyone on the YouTube side of things, what Phoenix is referencing to is every time someone gets a sub on Twitch, right now, I have to do 5 push-ups. Now, Phoenix and Citrus love to torture me with these. So, yeah. That's actually also the last part I'm actually going to bring into the podcast, actually. Incentives. Actually. This is going to take a weird turn from editing because I should have probably thrown this into the mix of general content creation. But incentives are the way to go. It doesn't matter if it's YouTube, if it's Twitch, TikTok, anything. Use incentives because they are useful tools. Like Phoenix says, gotta make the noodle arm strong because, yep. Yeah, dick spur. Yeah, that works as well. You've got to find fun ways for your community to interact with you. Whether that's through some sort of video or a certain amount of likes in a video and you have to do this type of video or that type of video. You get what I mean? And if you do get what I mean, you're almost there. You're almost on the same wavelength, right? Yeah, free stuff for subs or channel point redeems or... Yeah, exactly. You just gotta make things interesting. Again, like I said, change things up from time to time. Maybe rotate what's free for subs and then what's free for followers. Rotate them and change them up and give certain or add extras that the subs get but followers never get, and rotate certain ones in and out between them. There's 1,000,001 different things you can do, and you've just got to find what works for you, really. And yeah, so I think that's going to be the end of the episode of the podcast. Hope someone learned something from this, because I don't think I did, because obviously I was the one talking about it and talking about it from personal experience and stuff and learning random shit over hyperfixations and stuff. But I hope you guys have a good stream journey if you are starting streaming, and if you're already streaming, making content creation, all that stuff. Hope you learned something, maybe, hopefully, eventually. But anyway, that's it for now, and happy content creating. Peace.